think I got everything. Pretty sure I got everything. Let's actually post about this one, right? Not that it matters. Dude, I really got to get my arrows down here. Hold on, let me bring it up. All right, little keyboard. Let's see. So I'm gonna do this, arrow, and then I gotta go arrow, right? Oh, yep. All right. Sorry, it's work. Hold on. It's like the opposite of what you're supposed to do if this was a YouTube video, right? I'm definitely not hooking anybody in the first 10 minutes here, you know? All right. It's going to be a short one because I have if you were in business, this is what you would say. You would say I got a hard stop. I got a hard stop uh at 12:30. So maybe like 12:15. Got a hard stop. All right. Let's see. htmx. What did I call it? What did I do? What did I call this? Hordaz, what's up? What did I call this thing? What did I call this thing? Oh, jeez. Dude, it's freaking out again. Oh, no. Sucks. I thought for sure it was my HDMI cable, but I'm just going to get a new computer, you know? Let's see, 2.0. And Dioxus, what did I call it? Dioxus Labs. Dude, I'm getting a little better at the keyboard, all right? We're getting a little better. High level, oh wait, what did I call it? High level? This is what he called it. High level, or she, you know? I said I was getting better. It's not good. There we go. Is that what it's called? Yeah. All right. Okay. Okay. So honestly, uh this is the ZSA Voyager. ZSA. Oh. Oh my gosh. All right. Dude, I got to turn off perplexity as my it's this one, right? This is exactly what I have. Except I don't have any I don't have any labels on mine, right? It's just this. Hold on. Can I get this off here? Dang, this magnet's so strong. There we go. All right. Can you see, am I showing this? I don't even have the thing. Oh, there we go. Do you see that? That's it right there, yeah. That's just one half of it. It's the right half. But yeah. I thought for sure AI was gonna take my job, but it didn't happen. So I got to double down on the typing, you know? Yeah, it's cool. I like the split because I can type like this, right? With like my shoulders back, chest out, you know, instead of being hunched over like that. I'm always hunched over, right? All right, let's look at this. htmx 2.0. Is there like a blog post or something? Like what is this, right? Maybe here we go. htmx 2.0 has been released. Let me get rid of this key map. It's very exciting. Yeah, it's very exciting. You know what? Honestly, I just want to say this before we get into htmx 2.0. I just want to talk about Hypermedia generally. Also the music, we need to be faster. We need to be better. We got to make this music better. What are we going to do here? Is it this? Can we get some faster music? Okay. Yeah. Weird internet music. Perfect. All right. I want to say something about Hypermedia real quick. Ordaz, like, if you're still here, I just want to say something. Honestly, there's like, there's a lot of confusion, I think, for people, uh, who want to make apps or websites. And I think the confusion, it comes from, especially on the web, right? Um, there's like a million different types of websites, right? Uh, and it ranges from like static sites, HTML, CSS, possibly JavaScript, just static files, to that don't change really, all the way to like WebAssembly, Figma style applications in the browser, right? I think that's what's so confusing. And so like uh, each each thing like fits into its own thing, and where there's overlap, that's where there's conflict, right? So like HTMX and React solve some of the same problems. There's no confusion, only disgust. So it's like there's only there well there is disgust, right? Only disgust. Is that like a new OnlyFans? Only disgust? Is that what we're talking about right now? What's up, Rexace? So HTMX is basically purpose built for blogs, old school forum style things, and e-commerce, but mostly e-commerce, right? And so like I think Hypermedia enabled e-commerce in the late 90s, early 2000s. That was it. Like it just did e-commerce. That's it. That's the only thing, right? Only disgust is code name for my GitHub. So yeah, like if you think about Hypermedia, honestly, like, and let me just talk about, this is gonna sound terrible, okay? And I don't want to neg Carson Gross. I don't want to neg Hypermedia HTMX. But I do want to say Roy Felding's dissertation on representational state transfer, or REST as it's called now. Honestly, like I was talking to my boss about this. Well, my manager, I guess, boss, manager, whatever. And he was totally right. Like the dissertation shouldn't have been a dissertation. There's like no there. Like there's nothing. I guess at the time maybe it was novel to think to make something out of nothing. So what I mean is like the idea of Hypermedia where you load the page and you navigate to the next bit of UI. I mean, as a technology and as an idea, it's mostly there's really nothing to it beyond that, and you don't really need like a PhD dissertation for that, you know. I mean, I guess now, right? Maybe back then it made more sense to make a paper on it. But yeah, I'm not sure Hypermedia needs a paper. It's a pretty straightforward idea, right? Um, but yeah, it's an interesting thought to think maybe REST isn't really like that novel, you know? Um, but yeah, it's only novel in any technology is only novel in so much as what it makes your government is going to use it to do something, or people are going to use it to make money, right? So in that case, Hypermedia enabled Amazon and e-commerce generally, right? It's good enough, I guess, right? Like, I don't know. Like, why would you change it? I guess, right? Like, that's it. It just, in the late 2000s or in the early 2000s, it enabled e-commerce. Done, right? Cool. All right. So anyway, Hypermedia is for e-commerce. That's all it is, right? And maybe some blogs and forums and stuff. I don't know, whatever. So that's all I want to say about Hypermedia. All right. HTMX has been released, right? So don't get confused. Basically, if you're making an e-commerce website, which I don't know how you're going to compete with Shopify or Gumroad or the million others there are, but hey, if that's what you want to do, that's what you want to do. I actually do want to do that. All right, so htmx 2 has been released. Having announced the release of htmx 2.0. This release ends support for Internet Explorer. Dude, I love this. I love this. This is so good. Are you serious? It ends support. How do I zoom in? Oh, geez. How do I zoom in here? There we go. There we go. Okay. Uh, this release ends support for Internet Explorer and tightens up some defaults, but does not change most of the core functionality or the core API of the library. Cool. Note that we are not marking 2.0 as latest in NPM. HTMX is in NPM? What did I do? Dude, my capture card is so touchy. jQuery dropped IE and now HTMX. What will be Microsoft's next move to counterattack? Static? Wait, what? This is not HTMX. There's no way. HTMX exact match. Right? Am I crazy? How do you find popularity? Oh my gosh, it's 8. There's HTMX, which was 8 years ago, and there's htmx.org. Oh, dude, so good. Okay, so this is HTMX on NPM. I did not know this was on NPM. All right. Microsoft also dropped IE. Dude, IE, no good. Chrome is next, though, right? Eventually, people will distance themselves from Chrome. New release, edit support for Internet Explorer does not elaborate. Gigajet energy. Yeah, that's true. Everyone's dropping Internet Explorer, apparently, right? Okay. Note that we are not marking in NPM because we do not want to force upgrade users who are relying on non-versioned CDN URLs for HTMX. Instead, 1.x will remain latest and 2.0 will remain next until January 1st, 2025. The website, however, will reference 2.0. Okay. All extensions have been... This is actually pretty smart, to tell you the truth. Like, when I see that docs have changed, that's when I go, oh, I should update my thing because I'm reading the latest docs and I like what I'm reading. That's actually how all software upgrades should work. You shouldn't ever force anyone to do anything, right? I honestly don't even think they should have a latest. The idea of latest is, I don't know, maybe we shouldn't even have that, right? That should just, if you want latest, just go to like Git releases, you know? It should always be, dude, my capture card needs work. This thing is for real. I'm not even doing anything. What am I even doing? I'm like moving my desk barely, right? Put some sauce on it. Yeah, I should. All right. All extensions have been moved out of the core repo to their own repo and website, right? They are now all versioned individually and can be developed outside of the normal slow HTMX release cadence. Okay. So yeah, if you're in e-commerce, HTMX is killer. Like think about what you do if you're making a React e-commerce website. You're trying to load HTML from the server so it's fast, so your e-commerce thing makes money, right? The next thing you're trying to do is code split so that the pages load fast, right? Oh, shoot. What in the world? Living legend. Am I a living legend? Is that true? Dude, I honestly don't know what to do. Like, I don't know how to fix this from happening. Yeah, every time this capture card is so hot. Okay. Oh, maybe just touching it fixed it. We'll see. What's up? RAM codes. Am I a living legend? Or are you the living legend and you're saying hello? I'm a living legend. All right, so these are the things, right? So yeah, just think about what you're doing. With e-commerce, you want to load HTML fast, right? And the best way to do that is reduce all resources or secondary HTTP requests, right? So you basically want to have the ideal e-commerce experience is load a bunch of images in like a tiled format as one large image, right? So you don't have to open up a bunch of requests, or try to use HTTP3 to pipeline all your requests for your images, and then just one thing for the HTML. That's it. Like that's like the ideal e-commerce thing, right? And like your JavaScript or whatever. But yeah, so htmx provides that, you know. So we've got server-side events, WebSockets. Oh, these were in core before, but now they're not. Merging head tag information. I didn't even know this was a thing. Wow, I did not know that they would do this. Interesting. So if you update stuff in the head, I'm guessing that the browser will re-parse it or whatever. Is that what happens? All right, so there's all the extensions. Pretty cool. Cool. Preload, sweet. They are now version blah, blah, blah. Most will work. However, the SSE extension did have a break and must be upgraded. The older extensions remain in the distx directory so as to not break the URLs of CDNs like unpackage. Oh my goodness, but please move to the new extension URLs going forward. Please update your stuff. I like this. I like this instead of forcing people. I do like this. We removed the deprecated, okay. That's what I was just saying, right? So SSE and WebSockets are gone, right? And they're in extensions. Delete requests. HTTP delete requests now use parameters rather than form encoded bodies for their payload. This is in accordance with the spec. Yeah, I'm surprised that they would even put bodies in delete requests. Strange. Curious, you know? I'm not, but you, the living legend? Okay. You're going to have to go dark mode so we don't get a stroke from all the flashes. I'm already... Is this not dark mode? Oh, shoot. Is it not dark mode? I thought for sure it was. Let me see. How do I get dark mode? I have dark mode on here? Oh, it's right here. Oh, it's on. Dark mode's on. Sounds like a texture atlas. Yes, exactly. Am I teaching web development RN? You can pick up some stuff. This is not an educational channel. It should be, though, I guess. Right? Yeah, same idea. So, Living Legend, same thing. Yeah, exactly. I don't know who this is. What do we do? Ramcodes, what's happening? All right, so we now provide specific files and dist for the various JavaScript module styles. ESM, AMD, CJS. Look at all these different JavaScripts. That's looking good. HXON attribute with the special syntax has been removed in favor of the less hacky HXON syntax. Hold on a second. I'm not going to go over minor changes. HXON versus HXON? What is it, though? What is that? Reference? Okay. Attributes allow you to embed scripts in line to respond to events, similar to on-event property. What is... Oh, okay. On click. Oh, I see. Okay, so HX on click. Okay, and then you could do some inline JavaScript. Okay. Isn't this what CSPs were developed to not do? Right? Like, don't you not want to do this? Like have eval? Or do you just say, oh yeah, like XSS, like who cares, right? Maybe I'm just overthinking this. Maybe if you have other cross-site scripting stuff. Like I feel like if you have cross-site scripting, you have a bigger problem. Look at this, double colons. Dude, what? It's madness. Oh, I see. HX on. Oh, because you're doing htmx events are built in. This is starting to look like Rust, right? I feel like all languages converge on Rust syntax, you know? Let me see. The hell is amd.js? Yeah. In my native language, we say instead of legend, RAM codes. What in the world? Dude, what is happening? What language is that? Is probably Probably some dialect of Rust, right? All right. Okay, so that's cool. All right, so HTMX 2 is looking good. That's all the changes, right? And there's some other things like all this scroll behavior and all this, but yeah, that's pretty sweet. Cool. Okay, cool. Yeah. I don't know. I feel like HTMX is a little it's a little mid. You know what I mean? I don't want to sound terrible. I don't want to sound negative, okay? I want to stay positive, all right? But like unless you're doing e-commerce, like making apps with HTMX, it's a little mid. You know what I mean? It's just a tiny bit mid, you know? It's JavaScript is the language. Dang. I will never recover from this, okay, financially. Alpine is better. Yeah, I actually more like meme to popularity. Yeah, it's true. Is HTMX the future of web development? Dude, RAM codes is so good. Like what this I love this. This is so good. Let me see. Where's T? Oh, there it is. All right. Let me see. What was I gonna yeah, like honestly to me, Alpine and Alpine Ajax are like more my speed. So like here's an example, right? Um can we get some whatever? Oh, it doesn't even work. Okay, cool. So yeah, this is more like my speed where you sort of give it a target that is an ID, right? Whoops. You sort of give it a target that is an ID, right? And then you just have an ID here. And so you can type this now, right? You can make this an enum, whatever, right? And here you've got all the Alpine stuff like debounce and all this stuff. HTMX has that too, but it goes into this the the string, right? So it's like harder to like type it, you know? Yeah. So this is I think much better, right? In terms of API. Yeah. And it's cooler, right? Look at that. I mean, this is like a cool thing. HTMX is kind of new for me. HTMX is not the future of web development. I'm just going to say that. But if you're doing, like I was just saying, if you're doing e-commerce, HTMX is better than React, right? Because all the problems that you're trying to solve with on e-commerce, like making pages load fast so that people don't go away and they buy your stuff. HTMX solves that better than React does. They both do it. Like React server components and Next.js are and HTMX they're all trying to solve the same e-commerce problems, right? React Annies will literally hang you for saying this. Yeah, but I would say like no, HTMX is not. There's not all like that's what I was saying. People get hung up on this like, oh, like these are mutually exclusive things. Like you either write HTMX or React or whatever. You can't, you know, but it really depends on the project. E-commerce, HTMX. Forums, HTMX. Mostly static content, HTMX, right? Dynamic stuff, maps, anything geo, which is maps, charts, all if you're rendering a lot of stuff outside of the DOM, canvas, charts, which are they could be the same, I guess. Maps, that's React. Hello, right? Peter. Or like vanilla JavaScript, right? But yeah, it just depends on your level of interactivity, right? If it's high, then you're probably going to go with React, right? As a single page application, not whatever abomination React Server Components is, right? So you're probably going to do that, right? Because there's really like just load an empty shell and like people will, if it's valuable enough, people will wait the few seconds or whatever. And also like, so it's like literally why Facebook made it. Yeah, exactly. So it's like a XY axis, right? And like on the Y axis or on the X, it's like interactivity. On the Y axis, it's like how captive is your audience, right? Or your customers or whatever. But everyone started using it for their one-page portfolio. Yeah, that's true. I think people like the components, right? I like the encapsulation that components give you as well. And HTMX, you sort of have to find that for yourself, which is what Ride does. But Ride does that, by the way. Rust and Ride. Okay, that's all I'm saying. But yeah, React. But I feel like it's, yeah, it's just like if your customer, if your people are living in your app all day, use React, right? If they're loading up your web page like Salesforce, and that's all they do all day, then you want a single page app, right? If you know, like I just said, if it's charts, whatever, maps, client side interactivity, like a lot of it, React, right? If it's none of those things, HTMX is fine, right? E-commerce, you want to load the page quick, get out, it's good. HTMX is good. React server components basically meta reawakening their PHPs. Yeah, that's true. That is true. How do I snooze this thing? I hate when devs do over engineering, use a million frameworks just to create their simple one page portfolio. Yeah. I mean, a portfolio page should literally just be static HTML. I don't really understand that. But yeah, it should just literally be static HTML, JavaScript, and whatever. But I mean, if your portfolio page has a lot of interactivity in it, right? You want to use React, right? It's got a lot of state, you know, you got to use React. But yeah, it's funny. Like when I see people use React for modals or like tooltips or drop downs, I'm like, not really what React is for, you know? Like we've got dialogue as a HTML element, right? It's a resume on steroids. Yeah. If that's the case, then no. But yeah, it's like we've got the dialogue element. We've got the summary details element built into HTMX. You don't have to, all you have to do, or HTML, all you have to do is style it. Like there's no state. It's all declarative. Like don't stress about this. Like you're using all this crazy React stuff, all this state management. It's like, dude, calm down. The only thing that does suck with HTML is the combo box element or like a text input with a drop down below it. That's terrible. I will say that still requires some JavaScript finessing. All right. Let's move on because I got like half an hour. Okay. HTMX, cool. And I got to fix a bug at work. So, you know, I got to get going pretty soon. All right, let's go through. This one's long though, but I'm going to try to speed run. This one's super freaking long. I'm going to probably just sort of dwell on the, oh, there's some code. Okay. I just want to get caught up on the code. Okay. All right. But I think the idea of this is good, right? 99% of the portfolios. Yes. Bruno Simon, or if you're, who's that guy? Josh something. Bad Cop, what's up? Or who's that guy? Who's the CSS guy? Josh Combe W or something. What is this? Why am I using Perplexity? This guy who also could be like a Justin Bieber double, but yeah, like a young Justin Bieber double, I guess. But yeah, where is the web? Like I'm trying to find the thing. Where's the? Oh, here it is. Is this it? Oh, there it is, right here, dude. I don't know why I switched my default to Perplexity, but like this site is incredible, right? And there's a lot of like this thing, right, is interesting. Yeah, there's like a lot of like weird stuff in this one. Yeah. Oh yeah, seriously, he's the best. Like, yeah. Amazing. All right. I can click that all day. Yeah. Sometimes I do. I'm like, am I going to do work? No, I'm just going to click the heart, you know? All right. But this is like, it's funny because this is like every video game ever, right? We should just be going straight for games. Like, I don't even know why we're messing with this. We should just like make games. All right. Dioxus Labs plus high level Rust. This is near and dear to my heart. Okay. Because I want this. Okay, I want high level Rust. Okay, this is exactly what I want. All right. Recently, an article very critical of Rust swept a bunch of places, right? This isn't the first time someone has been critical of Rust, right? I just want high. Look, if you want high or high level Rust, both of these are for you, right? This isn't the first time someone's been critical of Rust, but in my experience, it's one of the few times I didn't see the typical host of responses piling up on the author about doing Rust wrong. The post was so thorough and so poignant that it shut up even the loudest of zealots. Wait, what was the article? I want to read this article. What in the world? With that article, I felt a vibe shift. Dude, when you feel the vibe shift, it's not good. It's not good for the crabs, you know? Someone finally called out Rust on its BS, so to speak. I gotta read this. It's true. Rust game dev. Oh, I think I did read this. I guess it was the Rust game dev. Yeah, I did read this actually, and it was good. We should probably read that too, but yeah, here's like the rebuttal, I guess. Rust game dev ecosystem lives on hype. Just like everything else, though, right? And it's about time we addressed it. There's a lot of Rust folks whose answer would be just get good. But the article rightly points out that for startups, small teams, and basically anyone who just wants to ship, hey, I should link this. Let me link this so you guys could do this. There. Where's enter? Oh, there it is. All right. Okay. But for anyone that basically wants to ship, Rust is not the answer. That's what I want to do, but I want to ship. And I want to ship Rust. Dang it. I'm not going to be able to do it. Why does my opinion matter at all? A year ago, I went full-time as maintainer of Dioxus and founder of... I disagree with that statement. I do too. But I think this person does too, right? So they're a maintainer of Dioxus and founder of Dioxus Labs. Dioxus Labs, a startup. Who wrote this? Where is the... Who... is there like an author? There's not even an author on here. We can probably find out who this is, but I don't actually know who wrote this. I don't actually know. All right. Okay, so Dioxus Labs, a startup backed by Y Combinator and Coastal Ventures. I talk about Dioxus all the time, right? This, to me, Dioxus is... like if someone who said that ramp codes, who said the future of web, right? Author ChatGPT. Yeah. This is probably the future. If the web had a future, this would be that future, right? So yeah. But I do think like I feel like the web has two uses and it's fine, you know? The first is like business productivity software, Figma, email clients, admin dashboards, and the second is e-commerce. So I group all those first three into one thing, like all B2B, like SaaS-y things, right? Business-y things, right? And then social media too, but that's mostly app now, right? Social media is mostly on apps now. So yeah, but I think generally it's like B2B SaaS-y things and like productivity software like Figma. And then on the other hand, you have e-commerce. Like that's basically the web, right? Is those two things. But in terms of the future of web, I think something like Dioxus is the future. Yeah. I mean, I also like eGUI and stuff, but honestly, like if you want to sort of like stick to, you don't want to throw away the text renderer, because rendering text on the web is really good. Like you got to admit, like the text is really clean and crisp. It's nice. Like if you don't want to throw that away, then Dioxus is what you want, right? I don't think there's any future of 2D web seeing the Apple Vision Pro. Dang. Rust is great, but it has no jobs. Also true. The future is just going to be with 3D experiences. Just wear those glasses and enjoy a different world. We'll see. We'll see, RAM codes. We'll see. Look, as a living legend myself, okay, we'll see. Okay. Let me see. So, so Dioxus Lab was founded on the thesis that we could wrangle Rust into 3 days of waiting for JS bundle to load. It's true. into the do-it-all language of the future for app development. Yeah, I totally agree. Okay. So before Rust, I spent time across the entire stack writing Python, C. There's your problem. Python, C, CUDA, and JavaScript for plasma physics simulations, high performance computing. Is that what HPC stands for? Not only was I solving partial differential equations, or PDEs, on expensive supercomputing clusters, I was wrangling the crappiness of Python installations, banging my head against broken CUDA drivers. Classic. Stumbling through terrible C build chains. Nice. And trying to wrap my head around the ridiculousness of the JavaScript ecosystem. There's a reason tools in research usually suck. Researchers don't have time to wade through a zillion different configs, toolchains, and poorly maintained documentation outside their core discipline. Discovering Rust 6 years ago was like finding a candle in the darkness. I love this. I ported over my Electron plasma simulation code in less than a week and had it wrapped in a U-based front end in just a few days. What originally took me 2 years to build, I had replicated in just a week with a single language. It felt like there was finally a tool sharp enough for the next generation of impossible problems. Dude, Rust, huge W for Rust, okay? This is also why I like Rust too. I also love it for this. Cargo, Rust Analyzer, the tools are amazing. Like, it's so nice just to be like, oh, like there's no build system, no make files, like none of that stuff. You just do the thing, right? And like each crate is powerful enough to, you can install your own CLI if you need more. Dude, it's good. It's good. A common response to the log article was Rust is not designed for that use case. And sure, maybe if you use the right combination of scripting languages on top, you might ship a game faster. But why can't we fight to make Rust better and be that good enough tool for the next generation of plasma physicists, biotech researchers, and AI engineers? I don't care if TypeScript is 20% more productive at UI development if I could use my existing language knowledge to sequence the human genome or protect the world's internet from DDoS attacks. Dude, that's what I'm talking about. See? This is what I'm saying. Rust is literally the first full stack language from the browser to like the operating system, to the Linux kernel. Like you can write anything in Rust. Like it's like, yeah, I mean, all this right tool for the right job? No. Okay. I'm 120% sure that link is some sort of Cloudflare article. It's probably just cloudflare.com, right? I'm pretty sure who wrote this is Jay Kelly or whatever. The person who literally writes Dioxus, like who's founded the company. Like, is he still committing? Let me see. He's not even committing. Where's his commits? Well, he's in a pull request probably. Let's see. He's got to be in here somewhere. He's probably approving, maybe. Oh my gosh, dude. Oh, there we go. Jay Kelly, right here. This person. How do I? There we go. This person. This is who wrote this. I'm pretty sure. All right. Okay. What am I doing? Where was I? Oh. Okay. He used to work at Cloudflare, right? Previously Cloudflare, right? Okay. I'm of the mindset I should use Dioxus. Like, honestly, this article is hyping me on Dioxus. Dude, I need a new capture card. I'm of the mindset that Rust should be improved until it's good enough at most use cases people throw at it. Yes, I totally agree. It's not perfect, but we can make it better. I'm not interested in giving up. I'd rather the Quisatz Hatterack. How do you say it? Quisatz Hatterack? Is that how you say it? Of programming. Come to this generation, not the next. Rust format, Rust doc, and cargo are amazing projects. Why throw them out? Yes. There's real problems in this world to solve, and life is too short to keep waiting for yet another language to build up an equivalently large developer community, funding, and momentum. Dude, I've already done. This is what I'm talking about, okay? You know how many Rust memes I've made? Okay, I can't just throw that away. All right? I can't just go to Zig. All right. I'm not going to remake all my Rust memes in Zig. It's madness. Okay. No one's going to do that. No one's going to want to see that. You know, no one wants to see the same tired old memes for another language. Okay. Rust success is not a technical feat, but rather a social one. I totally agree. I argue that Rust success is social in nature. Rust popularity, my hot take, Rust popularity does not come from its technical merits. Yes, yeah, totally. Like for another language like Nim, Odin, or Crystal to rise to the limelight, they would need to move heaven and earth. It's true. Like Nim, Crystal, and Odin, they're not gonna make it. NGMI. Do you know what I mean? Like that's just the truth. Because they've been around for a while, right? But Rust made it. Like, do you know how hard it is for a new language to achieve escape velocity, right? Crystal is such a shame. They're anti-LSP. Oh, are they really? Yeah, I don't. Crystal's dev tools, like, I tried like 2 years ago. It was bad. The compile speed was atrocious. Like, it was way worse than Rust. All right, Rust neatly fills the gap that the developer community wants from a modern programming language: speed, type safety, and portability. Totally true. Rust is fast, unlike Python, type safe, unlike JavaScript, type safe, unlike JavaScript, and portable. You can use it basically anywhere LLVM targets. The same cannot be said about languages with large runtimes or weird compiler infrastructure. dude, that is true though. Like C Go is a perfect example of like what you get when you're like, we can do better than LLVM, right? Oh, I don't like LLVM's IR. Like, let's do something better with Go. But it turns out to not be better. And it turns out you get CGO. All right. Due to Rust's social success, it has encouraged the developer community to channel their energy into bringing modern affordances to a language on a large scale. Projects like Rust Analyzer, Rust Format, Cargo, Miri. That's a good one too. Dude, honestly, I got to fix that. Rust Doc, MD Book are all social byproducts of Rust's success. These projects emerged because a driven group of devs in the modern era wanted a better programming language. There's nothing stopping other new languages from having the same affordances either, but it's a lot of work. Yes. Really, the only language I've seen emerge with anything remotely similar to Rust developer tools is Gleam. Oh no, Gleam mentioned. Yeah, but the thing about Gleam though, right, is there's no macros. Like that Gleam needs macros. Like honestly, if Gleam had macros, I would be pretty into it. But also like the runtime is huge. So, and also my dog is like freaking out. I don't know why, but whatever. She'll calm down in a second. Okay. There's nothing stopping other new languages from having the same. Oh yeah. It's possible, but requires the social biome of a lot of talented people to pull off. So true. Okay. Oh my gosh, it's 11:50. There's obviously an appetite in the dev community for something like Rust. I started Dioxus with the mindset that Rust is basically the best shot we have to achieve the holy grail of app development, and that we'd be determined to either work around the language's warts or improve the language where possible. We've implemented a ton of workarounds, but Loglog's post makes it clear we need to start pushing the language forward. Yeah, don't misunderstand me. I think Nim, Odin, and Crystal are incredible projects in their own right, but Rust definitely stands out from the pack in terms of its success. It's social success, right? It's memed success. Google, Facebook, Microsoft, whatever, all of them. All ship Rust in their stacks. Rust is on track to land in the Linux kernel, an amazing feat. Dude, C++ did not make it. It didn't make the cut, okay? C++ did not make the cut for the Linux kernel, but Linus Torvalds supposedly has good taste, okay? And he let Rust in. Probably because it's like so many people were like begging to put it's a social thing, not like a technological. I mean, it is a technological. Why am I saying technological? It is like a tech thing, like that. Rust is pretty cool at what it does, like the move semantics, but he got bullied into it. Yeah, I know, but that's what I'm saying. Like I'd rather have Rust in the Linux kernel than C++, right? Mostly just because C++ is such a mess, like in terms of like the build tools, Bazel, Zazzle, Mazel, I don't know. Whatever people are doing for C++, it's not working. All right. I'm proposing that we need to get serious and prioritize the important issues holding Rust back. I agree. We shouldn't throw the baby out with the bathwater. You never want to throw the baby with the bathwater, okay? Always bathwater, no baby. Dioxus and Rust. Much like LogLog, Dioxus is all in on Rust. Not only do we need to quickly write and ship Rust code, we also need to make sure users of Dioxus can also ship Dioxus apps quickly, which I think you can. Like, you can really ship fast. Like, I think I shipped like 2 like larger demos with Dioxus, and it turned out really good. And I didn't have any complaints really. Like, I had a few complaints around the 0.3 and 0.4 like stuff, like the APIs weren't as clean, but now they're pretty clean, and I should really get back into it because and I should the first thing I should do is like make a site that I could copy HTML and SVG into RSX just so it's easier. And I know they have a command line thing, but it's just easier for me in like a tab, I guess, right? We need to somehow convince startups and enterprise that, yes, you should start your new greenfield project in Rust. Dude, I tried. Okay, I tried at work. We have a new thing I'm working on. And you know what? It's React. Okay? Like, I tried for Rust, all right? Dang it. Why does this keep happening? All right. And yet we struggle with many of the same issues that LogLog brought up in their article. In fact, our recent 0.5 release was focused entirely on working around paper cuts of Rust. They did a good job to give devs a way of organizing their state in the same way with no clones. Yeah, I mean, I think Leptos kind of sort of did it first, but the generational box create is, I mean, it's basically what you want Rust to be, right? This high level Rust. The success of Dioxus is directly linked to the Rust programming language, and frankly, I feel like Rust is in many ways holding back what Dioxus could be. Oh no. Oh, Rust. So I'm going to throw my thoughts into the arena and rally support of the community, core team, and corporate sponsors to make Rust a suitable language for rapid dev. I completely believe it's possible. I believe we don't need to overhaul everything, and I'm personally willing to dedicate Dioxus Labs' resources to fix the problems. Dioxus Labs doesn't have a tremendous amount of capital to spare, but I'm determined that we can fund work on the right changes necessary to fix Rust. Fix as in like give it some high-level affordances, right? I'd rather the Rust Foundation and Amazon, Google, Cloudflare, Microsoft. Why? There's so many. Sponsor. Why did I read that? Sponsor work in the relevant areas rather than Dioxus Labs throw its limited runway at the problems. But at a certain point, I have to acknowledge the fact that Dioxus won't take off if Rust is holding it back. So we should do our best to fix what we have. With this post, I want to put out a concrete plan inspired by 6 years of experience on how to make Rust suitable for rapid dev. Okay, so I'm probably not going to get to all these because I do have to fix that bug, and I'm really kind of avoiding it, and I shouldn't be avoiding it. But yeah, I should because it's like really quite annoying. So yeah, maybe I might have 20 more minutes. Capture trait. Yeah. So this is okay. So I'll just go through them one by one. This is the changes that he would like to see, right? Or she or whoever. Capture trait for automatic cheap clones. Automatic partial borrows for private methods. Automatic partial borrows for private. Dang, that's a good idea. These are really great ideas. The capture trait for automatic cheap clones. Oh, shoot. So it'd be like copy. Okay. Named and optional function arguments. I don't know, man. I don't know about named arguments. Maybe. Proper reflection. You mean you don't want to go into syn crate and parse things as token streams and do that instead? Global dependency cache. Oh my gosh. This is like what I want for my birthday. Formalizing pre-built crates. Oh, pre-built crates. Rust JIT and hot reloading. Oh my word. Incremental linking. Parallel front end. Well, don't we have that? We're working on that, right? Aren't they working on that? Caching macro expansion. Oh, shoot. That's the WebAssembly thing, though. Thread safe send. Fix work stealing non-send task. Dude, this is a wish list. I wish I had Every time I touch my desk. Literally, every time. This guy will be the happiest person ever when crane lift front end. Yeah, I know. That's what I was saying. Crane lift is like a thing. Making iterating on Rust code faster. A capture trait for automatic cheap clones. Stealing arc from Swift. Merlindrew is not here, but if he was here, he would be like, this is what we need. We need this. Like it or not, Rust has found itself in a set of use cases. Front end, back end. Oh yeah, the crane lift back end. Right. Cogen, right? Yeah. No, you're talking about the parallel front end, right? It was not originally designed for. The low-level kernel engineers are dragging it into the kernel, leaving a trail of changes to Rust C in their wake. Over the past several years, I've watched the high-level app developers and aspiring indie game programmers pull Rust up higher and higher into the stack. One could argue that Rust is not suitable for either of these environments. If you want a high level, use Go or C Sharp, and if you want low level, use C or Zig. This is a fair critique. But as I mentioned before, the thesis of this article is that we can have our cake and eat it too, right? It is available nightly, the parallel front end. Oh, okay. I think it's like Linux only, though. Oh, the parallel front end does work. I think I did try it. Even on Mac, I think. Only by being honest about where the language falls short. I agree. I want to also have my cake and eat it too. I don't want to use multiple different languages for stuff when Rust is good enough. Rust sister language Swift borrows. That's what people say. Like, oh, Swift is like Rust for app dev, but it's like you're not going to put Swift in the Linux kernel, right? We're talking about wanting to write Rust everywhere, right? And you know what? This might be. I mean, it's a thesis, right? It's like a hypothesis that we can have Rust everywhere. And I feel like it is working out pretty well. But again, like this was the Java hypothesis in 1995. But there's no JVM this time. LLVM is a step lower than JVM. So maybe it'll work this time. But we want it though, okay? We want write once, run everywhere, okay? That's what we want. Also, Rust is not write once, run everywhere either. But Arc falls apart with many objects. Yes, it does. In terms of like memory usage, right? Is that what you're saying? Borrows many of the affordances, also without having an overly complex GC. Basically, everything in Swift is an arc mutex T with no also performance. Oh, with no explicit requirement to call clone on values. Yeah, but like it's good enough for iOS apps, right? But then again, the M series processors or the A17 or whatever it is really powerful. So the micropauses do add up with no explicit requirement to call clone on values. But I think like the idea that you could use this, not everything, right? I think that's where Swift goes wrong, is that you don't actually want everything to be this. But it'd be nice to not have to call clone explicitly when you don't want it. In Rust, if we want to share an arc between threads, we need to explicitly call clone on values, right? So like if you do have an arc, right? Then it would be nice not to call clone here, right? If this looks ugly and tedious, it's because it is. This gets tiresome quickly. While working at Cloudflare, I had to work with a struct with nearly 30 fields of arc data. Dude, what in the world? All right. Spawning Tokyo tasks look like, dude, this is great. Okay, I don't know I don't see what the problem is here. Okay? I don't see what the problem is. Okay? This is the kind of code that I want to write. Okay? Yeah, Swift. Yeah, exactly. Arc is good, but it does simplify. Yeah. Now that's what I'm saying. When you need it or when you want it, it's nice to have, but don't use it for everything, right? Most things can probably be references. Like thread local things can mostly be references. I don't know. It just depends on how much writing you're doing versus reading, right? But I think a lot of code is references, right? And it's nice to be able to choose between the two, I guess. Where Swift doesn't let you. Working on this code base was demoralizing. Well, Swift does. It has in out, I think now or something, right? Working on this code base was demoralizing. We could think of no better way to architect things. We needed listeners for basically everything that filtered their updates based on the state of the app. You could say lol get good, but the engineers you could say skill issue, right? Oh, geez, what in the world, dude? Hold on. What if I just move? What if I just push this back a little bit, right? Maybe that'll do it. Let's see. What if I move this over here too? What if I move this off? Maybe I'll do this. All right. They're willing to throw money at code bases like this. Oh, come on. It didn't do anything. Dude, I'm not going to get through this. Honestly, I'm not going to get through it. Is it when I move it? No, I'm moving it now. I'm moving it now and it's not doing it, right? Strange. It's super weird. Like it almost, maybe it's like independent of like what's happening here, right? I'm not actually sure. In-app params, it got some sort of borrow checker. Yeah, that's what I was thinking, right? It got some sort of borrow checker, and they use the in-app params, right, to do things. Okay. Nuclear fusion won't be solved with Rust if this is how sharing state works. Yeah, that's true. Cloudflare is all in on Rust. I did not realize that Cloudflare was so Rust heavy. I knew that Wrangler was a Rust thing, and then they rewrote it to like TypeScript, which isn't great, but they're willing to throw money at code bases like this. Rust needs a new opt-in type that saves us from polluting our code bases with clone. Who actually cares about the hard count of an RC arc? 99 times out of 100, I'm reaching for arc RC to solve a really challenging shared state problem, and the hard count is not at all important to me. I propose a capture trait as part of the clone and copy family. Just like copy types, the clone logic is cleanly inserted behind the scenes. When capture types move between scopes, Rust would simply coerce them into their own type. Capture would only be implemented for types that are cheap to clone, like arc-RC and other ecosystem-defined types like channel signal. This would occur in a number of places. Okay, so here's like theoretically what Rust could look like, right? So here's like shared, right? Some shared struct, right? Some shared state. Calling functions and going from T to T state is automatically coerced from the borrowed value to owned via a cheap clone. Okay, so shared, I'm assuming, implements this capture type, right? And so then when you call some inner FN, right, this takes a owned value, right? But you pass in a reference. And then so when working with closure, state is captured via an implicit call to owned. Okay, so here, so it would automatically like do the clone here. Working with async. So if you spawn a new task, a Tokyo task, right, across threads, state is again, it's coerced to an own type, right? When moving into async move scopes. Okay, so if you move this thing, it just automatically happens, right? And I think like you kind of already can tell from the code that like this was a reference and you did it you moved it in here. So move by itself is enough to know, and the capture trait, right, would be the capture trait plus move would be enough to signal to you that, okay, this has now been like copied or cloned, right? I think that could actually work. And I think it could be less noisy than .clone. I think this could actually work. This is pretty cool. Amazingly, callbacks, the bane of Rust UI development, immediately becomes effortless. Due to Rust supporting disjoint borrows on closures, capture would propagate through structs, not a clone in sight. Could you imagine? Okay, so here's another reference, right? And here it returns a callback, which is a function, right? Struct something big, shared config, channel state. Okay, so then you'd call move again, right? And then you would say, okay, so you're sending it to the channel. Object config reduced. Okay, some raycat data. Okay, so yeah, this is cool. Like, so obj instead of .clone here, right, or .clone here, it would just do the thing, right? That's pretty sweet. It's honestly pretty sweet. I would be into this. Capture would give us the ergonomics with copy types without having to resort to hacky yet innovative crates like Dioxus' recently released generational blocks. Oh, I mentioned that. Generational blocks provides the same semantics of capture via its copy type by stuffing your data into a global runtime and hiding access behind generational pointers. Is that how that works? That's genius. We spent 3 months adding this to Dioxus, eating 3 months of our runway, and I'd be more than willing to dedicate an equivalent amount of resources to get capture into Rust itself. I should use Dioxus. I'm giving up. Like, I'm giving up on Ride. I'll just bring over the DB stuff and that'll be that, right? It'll be DB plus Dioxus. That's it, right? It'll be the DD, the double D stack. Okay, the DB crate and Dioxus. Okay, double D. That's what it is. Let's see. Automatic partial borrows for private methods. Okay, I'm gonna try to like speed run this because I only have like 10 minutes left. Private methods. Automatic partial borrows for private methods. Okay. I mentioned above the nastiness of code base I worked on thousands of lines dedicated to clone. But the problem that really slowed us down was the lack of partial borrows. Our code base was gigantic, nearly 100,000 lines of cross-platform code written 5 years ago. Talk about tech date. Wait, what? Am I trash dev? Is that who I am? Is that what people think I am? You think I'm trash dev right now? You think this is what this is? Dude, I'm way trashier than trash dev. Come on. No, I'm just kidding. I'm actually not. I'm his brother. Dude, do I look like trash dev to you? I'm way taller than trash dev. Okay, I just want to say that. I'm way taller, all right? Look, I was at TwitchCon and I left the day he flew in. And I don't actually know if I'm taller, but I'm fairly sure I'm taller, all right? Not trash dev's brother. What in the world? All right. Because how else can you represent the complexity of DNS, WireGuard, WebSockets? Oh, we had structs nested a dozen levels deep. Oh my goodness. Health checks, stats, Etsy. Large Rust projects struggle under their own weight and quickly become almost impossible to work on. We agonized over a lack of partial borrows. Okay, so lack of partial. Okay, so this is what it could look like, right? Imagine a struct with some items in it, right? That's something big, right? Yeah, I'm taller. Okay. Cotter knows. He knows. All right. Let's see. Also, imagine this struct has some methods on it. Let me see. Implement something big. This method modifies the name field. Okay. This method reads and returns a reference to a child field. Oh, this is what he's talking about, right? This is what he's talking. Partial borrows, right? This code doesn't. Yeah, this is annoying. Actually, this is annoying, and I thought that's how it would work. Inside of a struct, I thought you could individually borrow things, but you can't, right? O2 is borrowed while modify is called. Yeah. So if you read from this, if you call s.read, right, it's now borrowed, right, and modify. But this theoretically, this should work, right? Like you should be able to read from the struct. Like each field of the struct should independently be able to be read. I know it's like understand the memory layout. I get it, but like this should be able to have like you could theoretically do this, right? Yeah, so you'd have to clone, right? O2, right, to do it, or you'd have to change this to not be mutable, right? Because you're trying to modify it mutably, right? Self-referential structs in Rust are hard, but I believe it's getting looked at. Yeah, they are. Like, I mean, you could split this up, right? And sort of put it into a new thing, and then you could do it like a enum, possibly. I don't know, but that seems horrible. Like, that also seems terrible. But this should work, I feel like, right? Folks will tell you to get good and refactor your app. Oh, that's what I just said. Sorry, but Cloudflare is one of the biggest in-prod users of Rust, and I can tell you there was no way anyone was going to refactor that code base and ship the features and bug fixes for the sprint. Got to be sprinting. Companies die over this stuff. I can't imagine telling Matthew Prince that Warp couldn't meet its feature deadlines because we couldn't borrow children and modify name in the same scope. Folks have bike shedded a proposal syntax for partial borrows for years. When I started writing Rust, the momentum was there. I thought this would be fixed in 2018. It's 2024. What if I told you that we could have partial borrows in Rust with zero code? It's literally just a switch. We could flip on a minor release. Hold on to your socks. The code from above does compile if you use closures. Okay, so if you modify something in this closure and then you read in a different closure, because now they have explicit lifetimes. Yeah, I mean, I think that the lifetime analyzer could know what you're doing within this same scope. But yeah, I mean, yeah, yeah. This is like, yeah, this is a little nitpicky for the lifetime analyzer. But this tracks though, right? Two different scopes for this. Like it does actually make sense, right? But yeah, I mean, theoretically, the compiler could do this for us, right? As of Rust 2023, closures capture fields of structs through a technique called disjoint capture. The machinery for partial borrows already exists. We have it in the Rust compiler already. Oh, dude. But whenever I get excited, but why isn't it enabled for methods? Bike shedding. Folks understandably want a dedicated syntax to describe the borrows happening here. With closures, lifetimes are generally implicit, so nobody really cared about the syntax semantics. Can't have a public API for a closure. My concrete proposal is enable disjoint captures for private methods only. Oh, right. That's what he was saying from before. Let Rust Analyzer give me hints on what partial borrows are occurring from my private methods. Oh. Feel free to continue bike shedding the pubfn syntax for another 6 years. What can I do? Can I do anything to make this stop happening? I don't know if it's like a software thing or what. Again, if the hunger for this feature is met and RFC would be accepted in a timely manner, more than happy to put some. Okay, so that's pretty close, right? That one's kind of. I feel like the big one was the capture thing, and now we're kind of getting into like smaller and smaller things. Named and optional function params. The builder pattern. Sometimes I feel like that as Stockholm syndrome. How can anyone believe that builders are a sane default for large bags of field? Why is this the best we have? Yeah, it's looking pretty sad. This is looking pretty. It's pretty sad, to tell you the truth. Do you know it would be nicer than hundreds of lines of builder pattern? Well, or like you could do proc macros though, right? Named optional function arguments, not implemented next year or the year after, but today. Just use a function like every other language. Plot X, Y, default. Okay, yeah. I mean, we could do like a macro on this to do a thing. Oh, that's what he's. Oh, I see what he's saying. If you had named arguments in your function, then you wouldn't need this, right? And you wouldn't need all these options either, right? It's funny because I think this is what Dioxus does, right? I'm pretty sure they do have this default thing for the props. That's pretty funny. But yeah, I see what you're saying. Yeah, this makes sense actually, right? So yeah, these would all be default values and these would all be named. And so now if you call plot, you can return your plot struct from this function, and this is your builder. That's a lot nicer, right? Again, I know people have been bike shedding this for years, but we need something soon. It doesn't need to be any more complex than the most obvious solution. Yeah, keyword args. Yeah. All right, that's fine. Faster unwrap syntax, right? Maybe you see this as an issue, maybe you don't. When writing apps with Dioxus, I have historically waded through a sea of clone and unwrap. Unwrap isn't bad, honestly. I love that Rust has the notion of error handling. Oh, we're doing a shortcut for unwrap. What would it be? Exclamation point. Nice. Dude, I'm into unwrap too. I'm super into unwrap. Unwrap that's how you move quickly. Clone and unwrap in Rust, it's the same as any other language, right? You're just going so fast. You're like, maybe I do want these exclamation points built into the language, right? I'm not a language designer, but it should be obvious. Yeah. Proper reflection. Try trade specialization. Okay. So, he didn't even say anything about proper. That's it. Just proper reflection. Okay. So things we could do at the compiler level. Global dependency cache. So is it global dependency cache on your machine? Like SC cache? Or is it like networked? A globe would make as if it were already increment. Oh, so we mean like SC cache networked, like cargo, but for precompiled crates. I'm actually kind of into this, right? That's pretty cool, right? Formalizing pre-built crates. Okay, so now we're getting kind of formalizing pre-built crates. Rust itself could host an SC cache of crates. Oh, I just said that. Delivering both precompiled binaries for crates as you download them. These would be validated by crates.io. Oh, yeah, that's what I was making the whole issues with detailness shipping a precompiled Sturdy derive a moot point. Yeah, people were so mad about this. We could choose if we trusted crates.io with our pre-built binaries, and if so, I mean, I think realistically at your desktop level, you should always root, right? You should always root, or use FireJail or something. Locally. so that all this crazy stuff you're pulling in isn't going to own you. I don't actually do that because I'm lazy and I want to get owned. And I've probably already been owned by Trash Puppy. But, you know, what are you going to do? Oh, shoot. I really got to fix that. I got to look into that. I wonder if it only happens when I'm streaming or if I could do like a recording in OBS and have it do that too. All right, better yet, we could serve pre-built dependencies in release mode, not debug mode, making everyone's debug projects not only compile faster, but run faster. Yeah. Support per... Oh, there's actually an issue. Shoot, 9 years ago. Making macros run in release by default, right? Would you believe me if I told you that macros in Rust always ran in debug mode? Every certain... I knew this. Every component annotation, every this error attribute, they all run in debug mode. Yeah. Running R, I should do this. I don't do this enough, right? I should do this. I should really do that. Caching macro expansion. Oh, okay. So this is all sort of like, let's see. Every incremental compile reevaluated every macro. That would be strange, right? Here's a demo. Yeah. Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah. Note that our tokens passed into the macro never change, but the macro continuously pumps out new timestamp files into the dumps directory. Oh, he made a macro that outputs. Oh, I see. I wasn't sure what I was looking at. Okay, so let's start. Okay, so on the left, you can see all of the files the macro's writing. Yeah, that does suck. I will say that does suck. If Rust cached macros, inputs, and outputs, it would only need to rerun macros whose contents have changed, saving valuable time in compilation, especially incremental compilation. Just like pre-built dependencies and release mode macros, this is low-hanging fruit. Yeah, that's true. Okay, so here's the parallel front end. Oh, freaking A. I gotta go in like 5 minutes. Recently, Nicholas Nethercoat released an article on faster compilation with the parallel front end and nightly. I recommend you read this article to get a deeper sense of what this change entails. In short, the Rust compiler is split into two phases, a front end and a back end. The back end is basically an LLVM worker pool, while the front end is the type checking and MIR lowering that feeds the LLVM worker pool. Let me read that one more time because I don't understand what this means. The Rust compiler is split into, okay, a front end and back end. The back end is an LLVM worker pool, while the front end is type checking and MIR lowering that feeds. Okay. This change to the Rust compiler would enable type checking and lowering to occur in parallel across crates. And in the demo, oh, I see. So you would like launch two processes or like a pool of processes, and they all happen simultaneously. And then the back end is just waiting for the front end to finish. But if they happen in parallel, then we could just like wait at the end, right? Cutting the front end phase in half, which is about 25% performance improved. Stabilizing this work will lead to a huge performance win. Of course, you can enable this today with nightly Rust, but I personally would vote it high priority for stabilization. Yeah, I mean, this is coming. The parallel front end is coming, right? Incremental linking. Oh, yeah. Wait, there's a new incremental linker called Wild. Dude. Wild is a linker with the goal of being very fast for iterative development. It's still very much a work in progress. And should it be used for linking any production binaries? I don't care. I want to use it. I want to use this linker. Let's see. So GNU, Gold, LLD, Mold. Wild is even faster than Mold. Wild, that's Wild Mold right there. That is Wild Mold. No, Wild for the win. Okay. Mold, we're not doing Mold anymore. Okay. We're going straight wild. We're wilded out here. A project recently surfaced on about David Lattimore's work. Currently, Wild doesn't do incremental linking. Writing a linker in Rust is already a lot of work, but the projected plan is to support incremental linking. Every AOT project, C, C++, Zig, Rust, is compiled in two phases, codegen and linking. During the codegen phase, the compiler walks your project and emits the assembly code for every function, struct, enum it sees. When you pull in crates like Windows RS, this can get expensive since there's a lot of code. But you generally only pay the code generation penalty once for dependencies, and then every time when recompiling your main. Once your code is walked by the compiler, it passes to LLVM and then linked together by your system linker. This involves walking the binary from main to every reference symbol, and then pulling in gen code into a final output binary. The important aspect to note here, while compilation might be incremental, linking is not. All of your dependencies, while they're cogen... My wife is just brought me a sample. Thank you. Thank you. I love you. Okay. Okay, what was I saying? Oh, yeah. While compilation might be incremental, linking is not. All of your dependencies, while their cogen might be cached, get relinked on every single build. In the context of a fresh build, cogen dominates. However, for large projects, linking can take up to 50% of the total cargo build time. In this case, 5 to 10 seconds of an incremental build. An incremental linker would sidestep this issue. Instead of completely relinking your entire binary from scratch, it would cache its existing linkages and only perform linking on items that would change between builds. For large projects like a video game, in Loglog's case, this would eliminate practically 99% of link time for small changes. But we're getting to what I really want, which is Rust JIT and hot reloading, which Dioxus has done, right? The final item I want to cover here is JIT for Rust. Right now, the Rust compiler operates. That's true. Yeah. Incremental linker. That's what we need. Okay. We don't need a new language. All right. Get that out of here. We just need Rust. All right. Right now, the Rust compiler operates as an AOT compiler, shelling out to LLVM to produce a final output binary. Great for high performance, portable, runtime-free builds that need maximum optimization and correctness. In game dev, oftentimes you just change the values until you're pleased with the result. I'll take your word for it, I guess. Bad Cop was in here for like a bit. So Bad Cop would probably know more, but I don't know. All right. But for iterative game app and app dev, LLVM is overkill. Sure, it gives us a lot, but it also limits what we can do. Dioxus's analog is Flutter. Flutter, a cross-platform app dev framework by Google, which is powered by Dart. Dart's both an AOT engine and a JIT engine. This JIT engine is extremely Flutter, my beloved, allowing things like functions to be hot reloaded on the fly. Dude, that is nice, though. That is nice. Devs building native apps for iOS and Android usually complain about compile times with Flutter devs. Happily chug along with instantly reloading apps. Nice. I would probably choose Flutter over React Native, but I guess like Flutter isn't cool anymore or something. I have no idea. To date, the Dioxus team has put a lot of effort into getting hot reloading for our RSX macro. But what we really need, so they did do this though, right? Having proper native it's not native, but they definitely did achieve it with like dynamic linking, I think, or something. Less powerful, and I'm personally most interested in funding. At its core, JIT defers code gen entirely until a code path is hit, basically eliminating all compile time completely. The speedups from a parallel front end, release mode macros, and macro caching are still important. We can't generate JIT intermediate representation without running the rusty front end, but we would basically spend no time in code gen and linking. I'm personally of the mindset that a proper, hot reload capable JIT backend for Rust would be the single most important upgrade for iterative Rust compile time, making Rust properly suitable for app and game dev, right? What in the world? Dude, how did this get passed? How did this get passed? How can I change this? What do I do? How do I do mod things? What do I do? Do I just do like /ban or something? I don't know. Is it like spam? What do I do? Oh, ban, right? CNNRSZ. Oh, click? Oh, perfect. Okay. Yeah, perfect. All right, sweet. Cool. All right. Where was I? Oh my gosh, I got 5 minutes. I got actually less than 5 minutes. And lo and behold, there's work in this space. The brave Bjorn 3 has been chugging along, seemingly solo, pushing Rust. Oh, Cogent, we're talking about Crane Lift. In my opinion, this work should receive a ton of funding with a dedicated crew of compiler engineers, tightly integrating the JIT engine with the incremental linker, right? 5 minutes for the last 30 minutes. According to Crane, I know, I have to go. But this is so good. It has been measured to perform the code gen process about an order of magnitude faster than an equivalent LLVM-based system. Rust compile times could be negligible. Putting all together, compile times. Between incremental linking, a parallel front end, macro expansion caching, release mode macros, and precompiled binaries. I'm positive we could cut Rust compile times by 90% or more. None of these steps are impossible, but they need dedicated engineers backed by a substantial amount of funding. Dude, sweet. Okay, so there's some stuff here, but we got to the end. Man, this was a doozy. Like, oh my gosh. Like, this is what 6 years of high level Rust app development does to your mind. Okay. Like, you just notice all the problems and you have solutions to, you're like, this would be nice. If Rust had this, this would be nice. And you just kept track that whole time. I love this. Okay. This is incredible. We should all do all of these things. If Rust had all this stuff, the amount of complaining about Rust would decrease dramatically. I bet you that if Rust did all this stuff, like if all this stuff happened to the compiler and all this stuff, like high level Rust would be real. Like it wouldn't be a figment of my imagination. Okay. Like people would take Rust as a high level language seriously. But I still see like a glimmer of hope, you know? Have you looked at the Rust compiler code? No, I have not. Do I want to see this? I've never actually I know the basics of like recursive descent parsers and stuff, but like I've never actually like tried to make a toy compiler. I should probably do that, but I don't know. Look, I was a computer engineer, not a software engineer, so I don't know what I'm doing. All right, I wasn't in computer science. I was in hardware. All right, I was an electrical engineer practically. They called it computer engineering, but really it was processor architectures. It's full of hidden gems. I would say probably not hidden gems. It's probably not good, right? It's how I discovered the matches macro. Oh, I gotta go. I don't even have time to raid. I gotta go. Let me see. What is the matches macro? Oh, perplexity. Wait, what? Matches if it's a bool? If an whether an expression matches a pattern is B. Oh, wow, that's cool. That's really cool. Oh, so it's like a cert, but it's like syntax though, right? Like if the expression matches. So it goes past like just idents. Interesting. Dude, we learned so much today. Rex Ace, we learned so much. All right, I got to go. I'll be back sometime this week. Look, have fun, okay? Look, there's so much good stuff in programming, all right? I'm fired up, all right? All right, I got to go. I had a meeting. Bye.